I remember when I saw my first dead body, and it's like, I was like, and the smell was horrible, and it was not very nice.
How do you go from being this life insurance guy that's just reading Jingle All the Way on the computer to actually being in the police force? Because that seems like quite a jump.
So when I came back from Dublin, I had no qualifications. I had like a C in maths and English. That was it. And although I had quite a good job in Ireland, in England, they were like, you know what they're like about the Irish. So no, that's the other way around actually. And I couldn't get a job anywhere. And my wife, who's actually been, I must give her a shout out. She said, "Why don't you go in the police?" And I went, "Ha! We're my family. See you next week." And then it's sort of over in a few weeks, I just was like, actually, this might be the only thing I can do, because I wanted to do the fire service, but I'm not very good with heat. So I was like,
that'll do it.
I genuinely don't like the heat. I'm really irritable in the heat. So I'm getting a bit hot in here, actually. But, so I went in the police because I'd always, and this is, I'll say it now, I did always like Inspector Morse and stuff like that. So I was just like, it's a cliche, but I just wanted to be a detective. So I went into the police, was in uniform for about a year and a half, and then detective for about 10 years before I left.
Really? How is it? That seems like you've kind of just fallen into that, but that job seems like something you have to really like. Don't people go to fucking college and uni for years to get into stuff like that?
I think you have to now. I'd be screwed. Yeah.
So how did
They
you
used to let anyone in?
What did you just apply for it?
Yeah, you've got to pass some tests, and some of the people, idiots who turned up, you were like, you're not even tuck your shirt in, mate. They're never going to let you do it. But
Right.
you could technically go in with no GCSEs and get into the police.
Really?
Scary. Some of the idiots that were in there.
Madness. What was that first year like when you said you was what was you first before you was a detective?
So you just go into uniform.
Right.
So your hat and your fluorescent.
What, and you
jacket
just sort of walk about and that?
Yeah, and just walk about trying to stay out of trouble. He's getting beat up. I just try and avoid trouble. The radio be like, "There's a big fight kicking off in the Arcadian."
It's gone.
I haven't got the physique for it, have I?
No, but yeah, you do look quite.
No.
No, we were speaking about this. Are we allowed to say your age on there?
Yeah, late 30s. We're both in our 30s.
So you're walking about. You're not a community support officer, are you?
No, God, no. They're like that's like a bloody TA instead of the army. That is.
Is it?
Yeah, it's boo. We used to boo them.
What?
Yeah, in the police.
Really?
We boo them.
What, you look
They're
down?
probably more respected now. If
Yeah.
you're a PCSO, sorry.
Yeah.
Enjoy the channel.
But back then.
No, they're a very expensive waste of space, because they just go and the worst thing you ever had was one of these PCSOs who like to get involved.
Oh.
Go and stick there'd be a gang around town, and they'd be like, getting in their face a bit, and then the next thing you'd hear, PCSO need backup. Yeah, and you turn up and you go, I don't want to back you up. You've caused it yourself. You've got no powers.
Yeah.
Next time, give them a good kick in.
And then when you're walking about, what kind of stuff did you have to do in that first year? Did you get in any danger?
Yeah, I mean, I worked city centre, so I went to.
And this is where? Sorry,
Birmingham.
Birmingham,
Centre.
right?
So after London, it's probably up there with Manchester. It was quite. Yeah, you'd get lots of robberies, stabbings, shootings, fightings. It's not a word, but yeah, it was. Yeah, it was really busy, because when I went to police training college, it was like 12 weeks, really strict. Like it was like being in the army.
Right.
We're not in the army.
Yeah.
And they were like, put your hat on properly, do 20 press ups. It was ridiculous. Like, you'd never get away with it now.
Would you have to do it, or would you just?
Yeah, you would. Like, because
Would
they'd
you?
send you back to force, and then you're out of a job. So
Yeah.
it was bullying in a way.
And when you're walking about and you see something, sometimes are you patrolling on your own?
Yes, yeah. Sometimes you would be. Yeah.
Would you be? How would you be if you saw like a big fight kicking off?
Well, as going back to my physique, if I saw a fight, I'd just go like sort of Jason Statham on him and give him a good fucking kicking.
Would you?
You got given CS spray and a baton,
Right.
which is basically a bit of metal that you go like that and it extends out, so you can hit people with it if the need takes you,
Yeah.
or it's within the law. I could never get it to do that.
You can never get the baton out.
No.
So it's just
I'll
a
be there like
tiny
this, like,
stick.
look, so it's like I'm trying to hit a drum or something with a tiny stick.
Oh my god! So
But
you
I just yeah. I mean, YouTube's probably the good vocation for me because I just the gift of the gab.
right?
You know, there'd be this big, massive guy, really angry, and just you,
Yeah.
and you'd have to try and deal with them without, getting your head kicked in.
And I can't imagine they took you serious because you look a lot younger than you are.
Yeah.
So you probably
and don't look like much of a challenge to somebody.
no. Did you ever get beat up?
No, I never did actually. I'm quite proud of that. I'd just get in there with an icebreaker straight away. They'd be very angry.
Yeah.
Go, "Did you see the match last night? What do you think of
Martial's a bloody prat.
Yeah. What do you think of the latest Batman movie? I'm all for it. Disarm them with idiocy. Really,
You progressed to become a detective.
I was very good at that. Yeah.
Was you?
Yeah,
What kind of
'cause-
stuff do you have to do in that?
Well, it's investigation, isn't it? So it's like being paid to play Among Us, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Is it actually quite fun?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I know a lot of people play Among Us, but it's probably a little bit like that. You catch somebody doing a crime, you think you've won, you take them to court, and they start bloody lying. And then
Right.
you've got to stand there whilst they accuse you of stuff that you haven't done,
Really?
and you're just the police.
Yeah. What were some of the bigger cases that you had to cover?
I think the Birmingham riots was massive, which was obviously kicked off in London.
Jesus.
Lot of bad things going on, a few murders and stuff.
And your job is to find out who did those murders.
I mean, mainly what I did was robbery, so it was we had a few quite high profile cases where there was someone going around the subways and threatening women with knives and things like that. So
Right.
when you on a serious note, when you do working on those jobs and you're catching people doing stuff like that, it's quite rewarding.
Did you have to do police interviews?
Yeah.
How's
I
that
hated
process?
those.
Did you?
Yeah.
D-
Because it's not like this. It's not like if you ask Stevie a question, he's going to love it and say, I love Jingle All the Way. You go, Steve, what do you think about Jingle All the Way? No comment.
We've had guests like that.
Yeah. And it's just like the way they do it. I mean, I hate being this person because when I was growing up, one of my mates, we'd always end up round his house watching a film, and it would like be a Van Damme film. And you'd sit down to enjoy it. You're like 9 years of age, and you really want to watch it, and all you'd hear is his dad behind us, big fat walrus, chomping on a
weird
bag,
name.
chomping on a bag of crisps, going, "That'll never happen. That wouldn't happen in real life. That would never." But with police detective things, like I've just finished watching that Broadchurch, which I'd wanted to watch for years,
Yeah.
even though it's not really my thing. And I was watching it, and I was like, I found myself saying that wouldn't really happen. That
Yeah.
wouldn't really happen because the interviews are always the most interesting part of the drama, but they're never that interesting.
Oh, really?
I don't mind a drama.
Yeah.
But the real stuff is just irritating because I just think like a family member rang me up the other day about something that had happened,
Yeah.
and she was like, "What do you think?" And I was like, I'm sure she regretted ringing me up because I was just like, he needs to be doing this, now. And you get back on the phone and you tell him he needs to do it now. Not tomorrow. He's probably off down bloody Greg's. Get him on it now. He's got to get the evidence. He's going round the suspect's house to chat. Get him in cuffs. So police interviews are really interesting if the person talks. Because
Right.
I'm intrigued. Even a murderer. What buttons did you press? What can I avoid? Because of solicitors. Even if someone starts talking to you, like Stevie says, yeah, I did do that, whatever crime he's done, you jump in and go, I want a word with my client.
So if a murderer is admitting it to you, they can pull them out of the room?
Yeah. They can say, I advise you not to talk. I'd like to speak to my client. And then,
Oh my god.
it was a very boring game of chess most of the time when I did it. Because
Yeah.
solicitors, they're just being paid by the hour or whatever, and they want, they just want an easy life.
How do solicitors and defense lawyers and stuff, how do you think they can sleep at night when they know that the person they're there to protect is guilty? Do you know what I mean? Like, I
It's a
bet,
very good question.
does that rile you up, does it?
I mean, look, one of the best things I did, and one of the best things I ever did when I went in the police as a detective is I went and sat in on a court case because I only ever used to get to see in uniform when you get pulled in. And you don't know what's going on behind. When you go and sit in a court case and they take the jury out and they're all chatting, these two lawyers or barristers, they're best mates. They'll be talking about what they were doing last week, what they were doing the week before. You might be defending a murderer one week, and then the next week you might be defending the victim. So they're just. It's a certain mindset of person. If somebody's done it. I don't believe in what's the word? I don't believe in it. I don't even know what it is.
It's weird because when I watch these cop things like 24 Hours in Police Custody and whatnot, the real stuff, when the TV show, they're obviously guilty because they always get found guilty at the end, but I always believe them. Like when they when they tell me,
It'd be really good. Got a few contacts.
Would that actually make me terrible at it?
I think you just become good at it very, very quickly.
Do
you get lied to once and you're like, right.
They do it all the time.
Yeah. You sort of learn from that naivety, I suppose, really. I was probably like that when I first started. And, you've got to be cynical because you're going to see things like, I remember when I saw my first dead body and it's like, I was like, and the smell was horrible and it was not very nice. And then.
Where was that?
It was in a tower block in Birmingham and he'd been in there for about 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. How did
And when we moved the body, it made a noise. And everyone just shit themselves, apart from the paramedics who were just laughing at us. They're like, "Oh, you're a bit wet behind the ears."
What kind of noise?
I think it was like an exhale of air as they moved it, which apparently is quite normal.
Oh my God. I can't even begin to imagine what that sounds like, but that would shit me up. You say the statement, I remember when I saw my first dead body. That implies you've seen more than one.
Yeah. Well, I think when you work in that sort of work, you do, yeah. So
How many do you reckon you've seen?
Well over 10. Yeah, well over 10, yeah.
And does it become something that becomes easier, or is it still a shock every time?
You've got to be quite soulless to not be impacted by it. I mean, fortunately, touch wood, I never had somebody like they were alive and then they were dead. I didn't get to see that. I think that would be even harder to see that.
The transition. Yeah.
It was always just the body, which is obviously sad itself.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not massively religious, but I do believe that when you're dead, it is just a body. Whatever was there is gone anyway. So I suppose that's probably the way I always coped with it, really.
Yeah.
That body had been there for 2 weeks. It's not that person anymore. When they stop breathing, whatever happens, doesn't it?
This is quite a graphic question, so you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. But when you saw that body that had been there after 2 weeks, did it? What state is that in then? Is that a completely different state, or does it just look like a body?
It was facing the wrong way, so blood rushes to the face.
Oh right.
After 2 weeks, well, we've all watched horror, haven't we?
Yeah.
It starts to sort of slip away, I suppose.
Oh right. Madness.
Yeah.
Do you think some of the stuff you saw when you were on that job affects you now or not?
Yeah, 100%.
Does it really?
Yeah. Not in a. No, I mean, look, I've always suffered a little bit with depression. I don't sell it as like a massive thing because I think everybody does. I think we all struggle with it. But I don't carry anything from there to now.
Right.
Anything I had, I've always had. The moody arsehole in the morning in the shower or whatever. I've always had that dark cloud day. That's normally a Sunday for me. That's it. Everything
is that because that's when United plays?
That's a good one. No, I don't carry anything from there. I really enjoyed it. I think it made me a part of who I am today. I think being quite streetwise and I think able to talk to everybody.
Right. In these cop dramas, you notice a lot of police corruption. Does that happen?
I did see things like where people ask you to say things happened that they didn't happen, and it would just be a flat no. And always makes you think, well, obviously people do that. But if you know somebody's done something and there's a weapon and they're running past it, do you cross that line of saying, I saw them drop that weapon?
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if those sort of things did go off.
Yeah.
To make sure that you catch that person.
Because the evidence has to be concrete, doesn't it? Can't just be.
And that could be the difference between it happening and not. But my thing was if you lie and you get caught lying,
you're done. You're out.
You're in a lot of trouble.